was good last year. Whenever the dead.
Oh, yeah.
Worldly sick.
No, it's still.
Our anniversary.
Yeah.
And all she wanted, she wanted me to go, she had a craving for Whataburger.
Oh, my gosh.
Wasn't sure she could keep it down.
She wanted
You
it.
know, I'm in gloves and mask, you know, trying to keep getting it myself. Another anniversary dinner.
Well, Scott would probably like that. He sent a Whataburger break. He was so upset when he couldn't get in the door.
Yes.
It was so busy.
You'd be okay with it?
Me too. I could live forever.
Yours number 5.
I like their chicken fajita, whatever that thing is.
Yes, yes.
So when are we gonna have our workshop? Are you gonna fill up?
No.
Well, I'm going to ask for.
Yes. Number 7 has the key under the front seat.
Good. That man, I really appreciate that. We need that.
Yes, it's got the little chunk.
Yep.
And did you get the key in the
Seeing all the trash and all the,
Okay, thank you.
with absolutely no respect.
Stop it.
None whatsoever. How about in your shorts? Okay.
What? That is way off. I mean, like, it's just, I mean, my employees have to go out front and pick up trash because people just, on the sidewalk in front of the store. Just leave trash there.
When I see at HEB, all those plastic bags. It's lovely. I wonder why. I don't know.
Ready? Is, Steve calling it still?
We're working on getting them on right now.
I got a new watch, but I didn't want the shiny one.
It's not one of those Apple watches, is it?
Oh, no. It's a diamond watch. It's shiny. I didn't wanted the stainless. Yeah, and that's, I'm so stupid sometimes. I probably just hit the wrong one. I do too, you know.
Good looking one.
It's, I'm working on it, just. I needed a new one.
Oh, okay, so you don't call, but don't call.
Yeah, recently, so, and they're working on getting, they're working on trying to check on.
Oh, okay. A G-Shock?
Yeah, that's a. I've had that for years.
Those things are hard to kill. I used to date this Navy diver.
Can we hear him?
Dave's supposed to be calling.
Is he gonna be up here?
Well, there's 4 of us, right?
Plus, ready?
One moment, Mayor.
We're trying to get him online.
Dave Seeloff is online.
Why don't we call him? Yeah, have him on call. We'll call him.
That's it. Yeah, that's Sahara and dog.
It's just, it's been for a week. Yeah.
We don't have any candy, even, I tell
No,
you. It's going downhill fast.
You know what I did? I went and bought this big bag of caramel popcorn.
Oh, how is it?
And I ate, it's good. I ate half the bag.
Unfortunately, I would probably eat it too. Oh, God, I
I
love that
couldn't
stuff.
stop eating it. You know, you just can't stop eating. It's bad. It's really good though.
I bet.
No, I catch a lot of fish, but I read where Laguna Madre, they're still not showing the trout coming back. I wish they'd do it here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can raise this issue before
No, you have to call a meeting before first. You can move it up.
Is it on the agenda?
You have to call the meeting order first. So that has to go first. And then you can say you want to move it, y'all would like to move the item.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Okay, then they can.
You have to wait till 4, right? The comments. It's not on here.
You want the phone over there or where? Yeah, I need it over here. Yes,
Yeah,
very end.
under, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only time that you can discuss that. It's not on the agenda, it can only be discussed during city council members.
Comments and items for future consideration.
I've discussed, you mean, we can set a date.
You can set a, you can ask the council if they'd like to set a date and then send the suggested dates to myself. And I can reach out.
So we can
So you
say,
can say, I would like to suggest May 5th or May date, and then reach out, poll everybody, and we'll get back with you.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, it's been a long.
Beat up, man.
Yes, Dave Seeloff.
Hi, it's Francisca. You're on the conference call, okay? So give
All
us
right,
just a moment. We're
thank
getting
you.
ready to get started.
Okay, we can
You
go.
ready?
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, yes, sir.
Call to order. City Council special meeting. Monday, July 26, 2021 at 5 p.m. Some comments. Item number 2. We have several. Dakota. Introduce yourself. Please give us your address.
Hello.
All three of you going to speak?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're with me today. My name's Dakota McCray, and this is Colton and Claire. We live at 340 Royal Palm Drive. I was born and raised in Port Aransas, and I'm here to address the concern about the change to the ADU's ability to short-term rent. My husband, who is also a longtime local, and I just purchased our first home in May of this year. The home we ultimately decided on is zoned for short-term rentals and has an ADU that we currently short-term rent. This decision was not made lightly, but with the hopes that the additional income would help offset the cost of mortgage, taxes, and insurance, which before bills is a whopping $2,740 a month. After Hurricane Harvey, we were forced to live in our RV. This is where the idea of purchasing our first home in Port Aransas flourished and became a possibility. During that time, we both worked multiple jobs, made sacrifices, scrimped and saved so that we could purchase our home here in Port Aransas. Buying this home was important to us because we wanted to raise our children in the community that we love and grew up in. Seeing our children attend PAISD and walk the halls that we once walked is a magical feeling. My son actually had the same kindergarten teacher that I had 26 years ago. Without the income from the ADU, we would have to sell and relocate from the island that we cherish. I understand the need for long-term rentals and the issues that come from short-term rentals. Our Airbnb sleeps 4, but we have been mostly hosting couples. We only allow 2 cars and 1 car and 1 golf cart and have never run into any issues. All of our guests have been quiet and respectful. The benefit of living on site gives our guests little room to be unruly, as it would take me less than 1 minute to be at their front door. In my opinion, the problem that needs addressing when it comes to short-term rentals are the large homes that sleep multiple families. Those are the ones causing all the parking, noise, and trash issues, etc. Knocking out ADUs isn't even on the radar when it comes to fixing the problem. It solves nothing. Taking away the right to short-term rent ADUs is forcing out some true locals just trying to afford to raise their families here. I would really appreciate your careful consideration on this matter because when it comes to ADUs, it's families like mine affected, not investors or families from out of town short-term renting their second and third homes. At the very least, maybe you can make an exception for those that live on site. I truly appreciate you all allowing me to be here today and speak on behalf of my family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Fran,
Yes, sir.
Is this where I can bring in the STR discussion?
No, sir.
No, the very
That's
end.
gonna be item number 4, or 6, I apologize, item
Number
number 6.
6,
But we need to finish citizen comments first.
Susan Simpson.
This is gonna be just a very general statement because we've been said everything I think there has to say.
Please, I'm sorry, your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Correct.
Susan Simpson, 503 Brumley Avenue in Old Town. Hey, Joe. I just wanted to point out that my parents bought here in 1970. They were in March of 1970. The house was sadly destroyed by Celia in August of 1970. So my dad rebuilt. And so just a little background for me is that I've had many years on this island, seen a lot of things that have happened that were distressing and heartbreaking. But I just wanted to say that for a long time, I had quite a bit of animosity for some of our city elected officials because of the way things were happening here on the island. But I just saw how everything was just, I don't know, overlooked or maybe not researched deeply enough to find out that, or look ahead in the future to know that was going to be these horrible issues that finally caught up with us. And we were just overwhelmed. The city was overwhelmed. But I want to say after the last city hall meeting, city council meeting, I came away finally feeling a little bit more optimistic that we finally have a city council that can now sit down and maybe work together to iron out some of these horrible issues that we're beginning to experience. So I just want to say I have faith in every single one of you and you out there in hopes that some wise decisions can now be made for the benefit of this community and our town. So thank you, but don't let us down.
Thank you. For reminding us. Bonnie?
Getting the microphone straight. I'm pulling my pants. All these things were an issue the last time. Bonnie Isaac, 300 East White Avenue, Port Aransas, Texas. Again, families come here since the 50s for their vacations with all the aunts, uncles, cousins. My father and friends came fishing here. I bought in about 15 or 16 years ago, a house in Old Town. And your comments today really touched me because what we're doing now is making those of us who have been loyal and faithful to this community for a long time, we're being made to suffer for some lack of consideration. And when I came the last time to speak, I talked about quality over quantity. The word enough comes to mind. When is it enough? The ideas that Jimmy Gates brought the last time, pointing out that the responsibility for the way people behaved in the rental properties back when his family was doing that was that the owners lived on the property, just as you described. That makes a great deal of difference. The responsibility is for that person who owns it and who is renting it out to make sure that that people behave. That is not what's happening most of the time, as we very well know. We see it all the time. So please help us, because we're losing more and more of those people who really cherish this little city that we live in. And we want to keep them around, you know, and you can help us do that. In fact, we can't do it by ourselves. We can get together and talk about it, but you're the ones who can really do something about it. And we need your help.
Thank you very much. Morning, Foreman.
Barney Farley, 410 East White Street. What was I gonna say? Well, they're invading my neighborhood. It's no secret that I'm unhappy about having our neighborhood busted up the way it's fixing to happen. We have three-story STRs on the next block that are actually part of the neighborhood, right next to the Mercer Cemetery, which is over 100 years old, which I think is disrespectful. They're going to build across the street from my house under the present rules. They will build three-story houses on 2 lots. And so I'm thinking that, I want you to consider something. It's a kind of a yes or no. The fact that these new ordinances are in the pipeline, it could mean that there would be good reason to do something like a moratorium on new permits until this thing is resolved. I'm definitely aiming at the 3 SDRs that are probably going to go in there. I think it's very disrespectful to an old neighborhood like that. It doesn't have anything like that in it. You know, houses on the station are on the periphery, but it's still in the neighborhood. So now we're inside the neighborhood. And as I said at the last council meeting, those cars, golf carts, trucks, boats, everything, they're not going to go to White Street and Station to get out of there. They're going to go down Mercer and White down to Laurel Avenue to get in and out of the neighborhood to avoid the traffic jams that's going to happen there. So I'm asking for any kind of help, just like Bonnie did, you know. I don't think you can pull a miracle out of the bag there, but I do want you to consider it. The timing is exquisite. They're going to be pouring concrete when you put the ink on the new ordinances. It seems like you could do something about that. And the worst that could happen is that the owner of that property would have to build 2 STRs at 2 stories. He would still get something and we would get something. Thank you.
Lisa?
Hi, Mayor. I've been sending you emails
Yes, you have.
and I'm not trying to bug you, but I am trying to bug you.
You keep on saying.
My name is Lisa Turcott and my address is 305 Avenue J and 1200 North 12th. One is my family home and my sister Linda Morgan right there lives in it and I live at the other one. But I have a vested interest. My name is on the loan and that house is where I had planned to die. Just as my mother, my grandmother, and my uncle did. I'm here to address, first, I'd like to say the ADUs. If the people that own the short-term rentals are on the properties, I think that's a wonderful boom to having a short-term rental because you have to mind your manners and not have too many cars and such and such. So I'm in agreement with that. Since I've lived here since 2015, across the street, there's 6 or 7 STRs. But the reason why I'm really here, Mayor, is about 10th Street. And then 10th Street in all my life, 66 years, has never been a street. It may be. I had a big conflab with Rick Adams this morning in Nicole. And I know that we brought a lot of attention to 10th Street. But it's never been a street, ever. It may be on the city charter that it is. I don't know, but I know that we got some land for our yard and it's labeled in the papers work that we got in the ordinance. It says it's a designated street, but it really wasn't part of the street. It was our yard and we used it for 60 plus years and then the city kindly gave it to us. So it's never been part of that street. There's controversy or discussion over who paved the street. We don't know. My question is, why does it have to be on 10th Street when Avenue J is inundated with every person that comes to town? Think about it. Think about how many times y'all use Avenue J a day. The post office is there. Ace Hardware is there. The stupid Asinine Coffee Waves is there. The Cancun Restaurant is there, and now the Swing Bar is there. And so now we are not on, and 11th Street is there. So people turn off 361 and they haul ass as fast as they can to get to that stop sign and then to the next stop sign so they can get to their short-term rental. It's killing us. Ask my sister, she won't speak. Is it killing us? Is it disturbing our peace? Dreadfully. You can't even sit out underneath. You were sitting there with us the other day. All you can hear is buggies. The furniture that's downstairs is covered in exhaust because there's so many cars that go down Avenue J. If Brandon Lafayette wants to build in Mark Grossi their new damn SDRs, I'm sorry, but I get excited. Sorrento is right there going the same direction. Sorrento doesn't have any traffic, not being killed like we are. I don't understand why the city can't open up Sorrento for this new development and give us a break. I thank you for your time. I respect the job that you, all of you have, and I appreciate any help that you can give us. And one more thing, I'm all for a moratorium. I think we all need to stop and take a deep breath and save our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Did we miss anyone? Okay. Items for consideration. Item 3. Discuss and take action or pass on any of the following. Ordinance. A is ordinance, second reading, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 25, zoning, by correcting grammatical errors. Amending Article 4, supplemental district development and use restrictions, by amending Section 25-147, lot area and density requirements, Section 25-153, height and additional side yard requirements for multi-story buildings and structures. Section 25-155, mobile homes, Section 25-161, number of off-street parking spaces required. Division 5, accessory dwelling units, ADU, Section 25-176, general requirements. Amending Article 4 or 5 or 6, plan unit developments. I'm sorry, that's, yeah, it's Section 25-257, location. Amending Article 13, multiple family developments summary chart, and providing for severance, reading, penalty, and effective date.
That's it. Thank you, Mayor, Council. So I'm sure you guys have reviewed the package. So everything is exactly as it was the first reading, with the exception, and for me, it's page 52 of the package. Is that right? And it's the ADU portion. Make sure that we're all in the same place.
So have the, what is it, 25? Do you have the ordinance?
It is
25-176.
176?
Thank you, Joan. Correct. So if you notice the area and highlight, when at the meeting, you'd indicated some type of grandfathering, and there wasn't a whole lot more discussion or direction on that. So what I proposed here was virtually the same process that was used for properties that were short-term renting when the areas were rezoned to R1. They were already short-term renting, and the areas were rezoned to R1, which prohibits that. And so the grandfathering basically remained until such time as that property sold and or title transferred. So whether it was sold or the transfer of title was kind of the key to that. Once that happened, then that grandfathering privilege was relinquished. That's just a starting point because we had that precedent. So again, I needed to bring that to your attention because we didn't really have any other direction on ADUs. And I think other than that, everything else remained the same as we were directed at the last meeting.
So I just want to clarify. So if there is an existing ADU that's short-term rented, they'd be grandfathered in the way it's currently written.
Well, we understood that was.
I'm just making sure
That was the
'cause that
direction
kinda-
that you guys gave us.
Right, and that
And,
kinda-
and this was just one way to do that.
So that kind of answers then one of the questions out there, correct?
Well, it doesn't because the way that we were directed and the way that it's worded here, that there is no short-term rental of any ADUs after this grandfathering. So anybody that's currently
Right.
doing it now is grandfathered. Again, if.
Right, so
if you
if they currently do it,
Correct.
their grandfather. Okay, just want to make sure.
Well, I
And
wonder
that's-
if we want to consider that if you live on the property, you could rent it.
I mean, I'm open to that.
What do you-
How would we need to word that to,
If you have to live on it.
yeah, but I mean,
Yes,
is
you
that-
have
what-
to live
Can we
there.
put that restriction in there?
You direct us and we'll get the wording right and bring it back for the next reading.
I'm okay with that, Joan.
I
mean,
think so, as long as the owner lives on
there.
the
Yeah, it's not-
property
It's not long-term rented, but the owner lives on property.
Okay, so.
and currently living there, and
Yeah.
once they
Because
move,
only
they
one
can't
of
do
the-
it
if One
anymore.
of the units could be rented,
Rented.
one or the other, as long as somebody lived there long-term.
Good, because that's the
Yeah.
other question then, because the
Yeah.
ADU is always smaller
Right.
in the main house. So is the goal, as long as you live in one or the other on property,
But you have to
Then the
live
other
You
one-
have to
there.
live there.
You can't
Right.
just come down
Right.
Yeah.
occasionally.
You have-
but there's not a concern as to which of the two, the smaller or the larger, as long as you live in one. Because some people that may be just a single person
Yeah.
may elect to live in the
I think that makes
ADU.
no difference. I mean, as long as it's very clear that they must live there, they cannot long-term rent it, they can't come down and use it once a month,
They live
They
there.
actually physically have to live there.
Some cities have it that you can only short-term rental anything if you have, unless you have an owner
Oh,
that
yeah,
lives
you're
there.
right.
So
So
I
this is
think let's.
certainly something normal.
Designating that property, and again, I'm thinking more on the enforcement side, would it help having that property designated as your homestead residence? I don't see
That-
why that wouldn't be the
that-
case
I
if
think
that's
that
what
would
you're
be
doing.
I think
acceptable.
homestead would be perfect.
I'm trying to think of any unintended consequence. The person that spoke,
Do people
but they're
do that?
claiming that they're gonna.
They live here full-time?
Yeah,
Well, you only have to live in your homestead property for more than half of the year. So what if they live here for 6 months
Well,
a year?
they need to live here.
I would
That's
say
your
we need
pro-
to specify they need to live here full-time.
Would
Yeah.
that present a problem for you specifically?
Okay,
I,
then let's
that's,
go that
that
route.
certainly makes enforcement easier.
Okay, yeah, they have to live
It,
there.
it may not fit everybody, but I think it's a very reasonable.
I mean, I think that kind of addresses some of the issues and
Well, and it helps us have space for long-term people, and
Right.
that's really, we need people to live here.
I think anecdotally, we've
Long-term.
heard some pretty positive
right.
statements from
That's why
those.
that's why I'm in agreement with changing it, that as long as they live there full-time, I'm good with it.
David, what do you think?
I agree 100%. I said this during the last meeting. I think this is a great example of how STRs should be managed. If you have someone on site, I can't recall an issue where the owner is located on site. So I think this is a great
All right,
decision to make the change. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Rick. I
We'll
think
bring
that-
back wording and
Okay.
and make it effective. Beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think there were any other, that was the only thing I wanted some additional guidance on. Everything else is just as,
Yeah, I think we have a few questions
I
here.
do have a question. The condo regime, I know it's under, I know under the definitions, it's multifamily, condominiums,
Townhomes.
townhomes. So as long as it's in the definition, does it need to be anywhere else? Because we
No,
were
ma'am, that-
saying we were gonna put it on.
if it's in the
that one
definition, that
chart.
everything refers back to those definitions. So for those sections, those definitions apply. Even if it's our own unique definition, they apply to that section.
Okay, because we just want to make sure the condo regime.
And again, it goes back to an idea that somebody had mentioned manifest intent. So that
I
clearly
think- I
is the
think it was in
manifest intent.
That chart part, actually, where it says the PUD has to go to council or something, that it says townhome there, it should say condo regime too, or something like that. I don't know. It's just some, and I don't know what page it is right now.
That's fine. Get with me. I mean, that just
Oh,
is
it's
a,
just a minor thing. Okay.
that may be a clarification. Get with me and we'll fix that if it needs to grammatically be different, but it doesn't fundamentally change the
Okay.
intent.
Okay.
I've got a question, 25-153. It's, was D and now it's E, all buildings and structures which exceed 35 feet.
I'm there.
Why is that in there if we're not gonna allow anything over 35 feet?
Because there is a provision on lots larger than 5,000 square feet. If you were to have, if you go down to what now becomes E, for something that's on a very large lot, if you give up a significant additional side setback, then you can go up.
I thought we were eliminating,
But that's only north of
but I thought we were eliminating anything
south
over
of.
35.
What?
We said nothing over 35 feet.
Well, that's, like I said, we didn't change that because on any lots less than 5,000 feet.
Okay.
But we left it 35 feet and we didn't change this provision. It's whatever.
So is that something we want to look at?
Well, yeah, read through that section, just make sure.
Right.
I mean, what would you put it in? Just be south or would you? Or just.
Because
take it out?
I guess it's just confusing because it's saying it's allowing stuff over 35 feet, but we said nothing over 35 feet.
No, it says no structure located north of beach access road at 1A
Right.
shall exceed 35.
Right, but then it says,
So-
all
If you go down to E,
if you get down to E, it says all buildings and structures which exceed 35 feet in height, except those covered under, blah, blah, blah. and all.
Okay, what we need to do is put this on the agenda for next time. This is not an agenda item.
No, it is,
Of
Mayor.
course it is.
It is.
We're looking at it.
Yeah, it's just a clarification of the way. So, I mean, that could be solved by just being consistent, saying all buildings north of beach access road 1A.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make,
That's what it means.
yeah, I just want to make sure we're very clear on this, so.
No, that's fine. But just, again, just the history is that for those lots prior to these
Right.
changes.
Right.
That if you had a really large lot and you only wanted to build a house.
Right.
And you had a lot of setback, you could set the house back and then go up based on that. But
I'm concerned
okay.
on this. We're discussing something that we should be discussing, correcting grammatical errors. That's what this is all about.
Mhm.
No, sir. No,
Nothing
sir.
else.
That's part of that. It's part of the agenda item.
That's
That-
not what
that it-
this- That's not how this reads.
Well, by correcting grammatical errors and amending articles. So in other words, if there was a word that was wrong or a comma in the wrong place, this allows us to correct those. It's just more of a technical
Right.
So we can
piece.
go into any of these.
Yes, sir. This is the second reading of
So we can
the,
go into mobile homes now.
well, once
We're
I
not
get
up-
off of
we're
this,
not
I
there
got
yet.
my marching orders here.
When we get there.
So again, so would it be all buildings and structures, again, north of Beach Access Road 1A?
Which exceed 35? Okay, why don't you do that?
Yeah, which exceed
That way
35.
we all understand.
Just so, I just want to make sure there's, I mean.
Okay, because that isn't you're right, that isn't the way that this would read right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
now the mobile
If you had a
homes.
really big lot, then
So Page
as our
40.
current ordinance reads, you could go up higher depending on bigger setbacks on the sides.
So what about mobile homes?
Okay, well, that's
That's the next one, right?
that's the one after the next one.
So could you
Yeah,
just, how it's going to read? Or how you propose it to be read?
so, okay, so we already have no structures north of Beach Access Road 1. All buildings and structures which exceed 35 feet.
Now you don't want to make it so it looks different.
Yeah. I mean,
The thing
Yeah,
that we
so
don't
let's-
have, Rick, on here is that we're making references to a second reading of a code regarding zoning. And we go through here and we start correcting these things, but we don't say what they are. Like, for example, amending section 25-147, lot area and density requirements. Give me a full explanation of that.
Well, if you go to 147, that was a. that
Page
was-
36.
Yeah, that was one that you look at all the red, and
It's,
that's one that we changed.
Have you
So
got it?
on the third reading, if we change
Oh, you don't
this,
have it.
the third reading would just come back and it would,
He needs a copy of it.
Yeah. so this is the ordinance we're amending. So the third reading would come back then if you change the 153, it would just, well, in fact, actually, that's already on there too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25-153 height. So it is already part of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So we're just clarifying what the intent was the first time. And if we didn't get it right, we're just making that change now
So
on
we're
the
looking
second
at
reading.
page 38, right?
This is what I don't have.
Yeah, you should
So
have it.
if there's no issue with higher structures south of 1A that would perhaps not be in a PUD, then you could simply say all buildings and structures south of 1A which exceed 35 feet, and you go on.
I think that would be, I like that wording, yes.
In addition, let me make sure. 2.5 feet.
Yes. Yeah, I think that would be the
One of the houses north.
35 feet if the lot's
So
5,000.
All houses can be 35 feet.
Only if the lot size is over 5,000 square feet.
Or
Yes,
or
5,000.
5,000 or greater.
Great.
5,000
But in no
square feet.
instance, if you had a giant lot, could you still go above 35 feet? Is that the intent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what I need to know. We'll, but not a big concern about south of 1A. Because there are some
They're-
parcels that aren't
they're-
part of the PUD
they're gonna have
necessarily.
that big lot anyway out there.
And that's right. So essentially, we're pushing the height that direction, which it mostly already is. Okay.
Just a little, should we say 1A/Piper?
As long as I know the intent, I want to make sure, without doing this on the fly, that we get subsection B. Yeah, I want to make sure they all read correctly. But if the intent is
Yes.
nothing over 35 feet south of 1A, north of 1A,
So you'll.
then we'll get that wordsmith correctly
Okay.
and leave that for those structures south of 1A.
I'm sorry, 1A is on one side, Piper's on the other, so I wonder if we always have to say 1A Piper/Piper
Oh,
General.
I see what you're saying.
That's-
We never have, but
We
but
have
we
in some
can
places,
we can add that on. We can add
as
that in there.
as long as it's
So
understood.
you're
I'll-
gonna bring this back to us.
One more
The
time.
third reading, we'll make this additional change. And there may be some others. The third reading will bring this change back, and the third reading will have that part in there.
Okay,
Okay,
Okay.
we do B. while you're here.
Any other questions on 25?
well, what was it about mobile
Mobile
homes?
homes, didn't you have a
Well,
question?
that'll be,
Well, this,
Or is that the-
it has something on mobile homes.
yeah, we've got that agenda
25-155,
item.
it just says 25-155, temporal transient rental of mobile homes is
Is
prohibited.
that 21?
That was the only change that
Change,
we
yeah.
made to 14, as long as we're on that. We're out of order, though. I think we're still on,
Yeah.
we're still on B.
Transient rentals, yeah. Okay, so do we need to do anything with this or just move to the next one?
No, I think we need a motion,
Okay,
second reading.
I
With
move,
with the changes.
I move that we approve the second reading of the zoning chapter 25 with the changes that we have mentioned.
Related to height and ADUs.
Related to heights and ADU rentals.
I second.
All the roll.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes,
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayorperson Holt,
Yes,
Mayor Beyond,
Yes.
motion carried.
I think, Rick, this was only the little chart thing I was talking about.
Oh, the development table?
Yeah.
Rick, you want to move on? Next
Yes,
one?
sir. We'll correct that, Joel.
Okay.
We're going to 20,
And everybody's obviously
Agenda item
checking.
B, Mayor.
Item B,
3B.
I'm not gonna read it, so you go ahead.
All right. Second reading, amending the Code of Ordinances. This is chapter 21 and the various changes there. So we made no changes. We made no changes to 21 regarding subdivision.
From what we
From the
looked at
first reading.
last time.
Yes, ma'am.
There was none.
I didn't, I mean, everything I saw was.
And this was NUDs, CUDs, and PUDs, right?
Yes.
Is that what this chapter is called?
Any questions or concerns?
21, 128.
So,
128.
Let me see. I
Move
was-
on or what?
No, just.
Yeah.
Second.
We have to move,
Let me look at something.
we have to do something.
It could, at least 20. Oh,
Yeah, I didn't see anything that was of issue here, but
So NUDs are just changed to 5,000
Right.
5,000
everywhere.
square feet.
And CUDs are eliminated
Minimum lot dimensions were referenced here.
and
with
mobile
5,000.
homes cannot be transient
so
rentals.
currently, the only way they can do sub 5,000 if council approves a PUD, right?
P and Z, yeah, first.
It has P and Z and then.
P and Z and then council,
But I
correct.
mean, that's the only way that, okay.
And it's essentially a blank slate. We don't even have a typical submission form. They propose what they want to do, what the public benefit is. The owners within 200 feet, looks like a variance or zoning change,
They
are
do
all
note it.
notified,
Okay.
and then
What
it
can we
goes.
do about the street sizes wider? I mean, that's a whole nother, I mean, right now it's an ordinance at a certain street width.
Well, we have street specifications that are in the city's street and drainage plan.
Yeah.
That would probably be, my advice would be, that would be absolutely best tackled in the comprehensive plan, where you get the fire marshal involved and the others. And that's, like I said, that's only a month or two away from
Right, so
starting.
let's make sure and
We gotta
follow
get-
up that.
But that's
we
an,
gotta
I think
get
that's an
back-
1988
Yeah,
set of
the streets
specs.
are this.
We gotta get back to some wider streets before they kill us all.
Wider streets, more parking lot.
Okay, I move that we
There is
accept the
no
changes
parking
in chapter
anywhere.
21 as they
Okay.
were done last.
I second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes,
Chairperson Holt,
Yes,
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Breon,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next one here is too. Rick.
What does that take us to? 3C. Actually, I think that's appointing board members to the RDC.
So we're done with B.
We're done with the two development ordinances. Just
Board members.
just a takeaway, please, if there's any questions, look at it one more time very thoroughly.
The way it is
Third
now.
reading's coming up. Any questions, come see us. Like I said, so that we make sure we get the third reading exactly right.
Yeah.
Obviously, these changes will be incorporated, but
Okay.
All right, item C. Discuss and take action on appointing board members to the Regional Development Corporation.
Fran, do you have the
I think what we
the
have,
list?
They were provided a list. We need 2 city council members to serve, to fill the vacant positions on this board.
and haven't I been on it 2 years?
You have.
So are I gonna go off?
And you're not expiring until 2022.
So
So you have been on, you've been on serving for a while.
you do not have an expiration date.
You don't have an expiration date.
just refresh my memory,
May,
how often they
right?
meet?
They usually meet quarterly or as needed. They
Okay.
start really meeting around budget time.
We
So-
probably only met twice
Okay.
last year,
Okay.
and that was about the budget
Okay.
and then about the spending.
Did you fill out an application?
No, I was just asking a general question. I was
I was
just
just asking.
asking a general question.
Has
All
anybody
I'm
filled out
asking.
an application?
We did not get any applications, but. we
Okay, so
need
we'll just ask for
two-
volunteers.
Yes, 2 volunteers. Okay,
We have place 5 and 7, I guess.
so we'll need 1 more.
It's
All
once
right.
or twice a year.
I'll volunteer.
Okay.
So everybody's on it except for the mayor.
The
And
mayor's got
David's
nothing.
not on there.
Okay, I'll go ahead and volunteer as well then. I think that's more like voluntold, but that's okay. Good.
All right.
So who do you choose to appoint? Because there's only 2 positions for city council.
Oh, well, the guys can.
No, we need one. You need to be on it. I'd like to nominate Joe.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so there we go. We got one down. Now you can do, yeah, now you can reciprocate now if you want to.
That's between Dave and Tim.
Yeah,
Uh,
come on, Joe.
Do we flip a coin or what?
I don't care.
I'm gonna let Joan pick.
No,
Flip it. All right, Joan, flip a coin.
Okay.
which,
Tails.
no, heads.
Okay,
Sorry, David, I nominate you.
okay. I second.
Sheila,
I'm not gonna miss any more meetings from now on. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, see, there you go. All right, I second that.
Okay, so the motion is to nominate, to appoint Joellen and David Seeloff to the RDC. Okay.
Okay.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes,
Councilmember Kruger,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Holt,
yes,
Mayor Bouillon.
Oh, hardly.
Motion carried.
and we have to do something else, don't we?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. We need to appoint a chairman. of The RDC. Chairman of the board.
Can that be you, Joan?
Yeah. Okay, jeez. Wait, flip a coin. Flip. Bruce isn't here. Okay, I nominate Bruce then.
That's a good nomination. I'll second.
Okay,
And this is for chairman of the RDC board.
yes.
Okay,
Councilmember Seeloff,
yes,
Councilmember Kruger,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holt,
yes,
Mayor Bouillon.
Absolutely.
Motion carried.
we're bad. You better
We got
come to
a little
meetings,
fun
guys.
since, you know, I mean, you know.
Okay,
Beat you, not Michelle.
All
I'll
right.
never, I'll be
Yeah,
here every
never
time in the future now.
Anything else?
You'd ask about a short-term rental workshop.
Yes. I'd like to call one when we can get together soon.
Would this be something that you'd want to do? Oftentimes, a workshop can be done in conjunction with a meeting to get you guys here just once. It's probably my thinking is that it may be a shorter initial discussion with some just general thoughts to determine how much of if there's a lengthier meeting that may be needed. I have a feeling that there's probably a checklist of items or thoughts. And it could be discussed 30 minutes or an hour initially, but like I said.
what do you envision, Mayor? You envision people talking or,
Well, I want us to address the issue of STRs. That's all I hear about. That's all the complaints I receive. And I want to talk about whether or not we want STRs.
Right, I mean, so again, a town hall meeting with
You
most
want
of the
the
reason
public?
being a public input
Absolutely, I want
session.
public.
Like a town hall or?
Well, it just
workshop?
depends on what your pleasure is. I mean, if it's,
I want the
if it's
town-
hearing-
I want the population to be part of this.
yeah, we're just trying to figure out procedurally how best to
and
handle
I
it.
think what we need is some advice on whether one could do a moratorium or not.
On the short-term rentals,
Mhm.
I'll run that question, but you're talking zoning, and I don't know that you can put a moratorium on zoning.
I'll check with,
I'll
Who would
check
you
with
check
Mike. I'm
with?
fairly
Mike?
sure that you can't just turn the switch off. But I'll gladly.
well, how about a moratorium on building permits?
Well,
Temporary,
just again, remember that Mike told you that the legislature stripped the very narrow ability to do that. And again, we'll get him to reiterate that. I don't want to speak for Mike. But having had the discussion prior to, and then having him at the meeting, we can tell you why, and cite the reasons, but I'm, like I said, it's very difficult. But I'll have him address the very,
When you have the city that's full of trash and you can't get rid of it, and the traffic and the beach is totally a wreck.
But it's politics probably,
I mean, it's.
what we can do.
It's time to do something.
right.
All right, so I motion then that we pick a date to do, I guess, a workshop.
Just do it.
I think it should be during the day or early evening. So we can allow full, so the public can have plenty of time to be involved in this. And
Make it around 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
so there's no complaints about 5.
Right.
Can we let Fran reach out and give you guys some possible dates? Because I don't want to interfere with potential budget meetings that need to happen. We will
But I
have one of
think-
those coming up,
Yeah.
but let her reach out. Is this something that,
quickly,
okay,
We want to do this. I'm sick of hearing about it, STRs, to tell you the truth. I want it resolved.
Well, we're doing stuff about them right now. with
I
these
want to
things.
resolve it all, the whole idea at STO.
Fran, is that all right? Will you reach out
I'll
to
reach
them
out
with
with
some
some dates.
possible dates?
We have-
Obviously, we need, David obviously needs to get back. He'll be
Right.
back next week.
When does he come
You'll have
back?
to have at least 72 hours.
Yeah.
right? No, this week is not, we're not talking this week because we're out of town. Some of us are out of town anyhow.
And the budget meetings.
Now, so can I bring this up at this point? Is the budget meeting still a go on the 5th, August 5th?
At this time, yes.
Because no matter what, whether we have it or not, I still think we should have that meeting
For the third reading.
Yes.
for the third
that-
reading, no matter what.
Yes, I think that meeting is on.
Okay.
I know part of it, I don't want to again speak for Darwin. Part of it was the getting the tax.
Tax rolls. But
But I think that came in a little, I think it's going to come in a little earlier than we
so
anticipated.
no matter what, whether the tax rolls come or not, I want to still have that meeting on August 5th.
Okay.
So. If that's
Can we-
okay, Mayor?
Can we do the third reading on the STR on that day too, or something?
Yes.
On
we should.
the,
The 5th, right?
Yes,
We're supposed to, I think.
yeah.
The
for
third
the,
reading of this.
The company.
Oh,
There's already been 2 readings on the signs.
Correct.
I
yes.
think we just planned
Yeah, so
on.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think it was on, it's scheduled for the August meeting, but.
Let's put it on the 5th
the fifth.
also, Fran. The sign ordinance for the STRs. Let's put that on the 5th, please.
No, we won't have we've got the RFP out for the third-party compliance service, but I don't
Can I
think
ask a
that.
question? Have we gotten any responses?
It just got,
Oh, just what-
just got posted the first in the Jetty the first time this past week. So this will be the
Okay.
second
All right, and it's also on the city website, so.
And this is the company that's gonna
solicitation for.
figure all the,
Comments, we don't, we're
Yeah.
getting too much of discussion.
Yep, yep.
Right.
Thanks,
But we
Fran.
can definitely bring that up at the next council meeting.
Okay.
So the August 5th, we can bring an update for STRs and where we're at on the RFP. We've gotten
Yes,
how it's going.
Thank you, Fran.
appreciate you keeping us in line.
keeping you honest.
All right, so she'll reach out and try to pick some dates
Okay.
for the SDR August 5th meeting, looks like. So
I only have one other
So we're
thing.
talking full amount STRs at that time.
At the next meeting, yes, we'll have it either a workshop or a town hall meeting. I'll reach out and see.
Let it all hang out.
uh,
Okay, good.
So I only have
That's what
one
it
other
needs to be.
thing and a discussion sooner or later is like how when people close their parking lots down and put big major bans and they don't have any parking, and I know they're claiming they're using other people's parking lot, but those parking lots are full already every weekend. And it's the same thing.
Discussions with those people.
It's the same thing that the other one's been doing too for years. Putting tents up in their parking lots and having things that they don't have the parking for. And it just trickled all downhill last weekend. It was a train wreck. It was out of control.
Talk to me offline, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Who was playing the music?
Robert Earl King on this side and Gary P. Nunn on this side.
Oh, Gary P. Nunn.
He's a good one. They're both wonderful. I'm not against having concerts. I wish we could just have a place to have them, where everybody can go and there's plenty of parking, or like Camellia, they just put them wherever out there.
Yeah, they've got 2 acres for
Yeah.
people to
so,
be out.
I mean, I wish we could get Roberts Point Park back open so we could do some things out there like that, you know, because we will have the extra parking.
Right?
That's a great place for them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They're working.
I hope so. And, you know, like, I guess Deep Sea Roundup, thank goodness they didn't have the full amount of people they had because it would have been.
Could have been disaster.
It would have been disaster. Anyway,
But we'll be back home.
I have a lot of thoughts. That's just- I won't keep. it.
One question from the guy on the phone here. Rick, has anybody been in touch with Republic regarding some of the issues we discussed at the last council meeting, that is creation of a transfer station or staging vehicles in Port Aransas or any of the solutions? Because they missed again today due to equipment breakdown as well.
Right.
So,
Yes, sir. Let me, if you'll give me a call offline, I'll kind of tell you the discussions we've been having with Republic. They've had a wealth of problems and we're getting a little tired of it, but since it's not an agenda item, just give me a call and I'll be happy to share
okay,
what we know.
all right.
Is there another company?
Well, that's a contract issue that we got to,
And I mean, is
Talk
there
about
another company?
there always is other companies, they're the largest. And still, we have the
They're
problems.
largest and they can't get the job done.
Well, it's because they can't get new trucks. That's what's
They
bad.
fill up so fast with all the garbage we got over here anymore. They have to make 2 trips and it's running them pretty ragged, I guess.
Right?
Well, then maybe we need to do a budget supplement and pay for both. Increase the taxes.
Great. Did he say that?
What?
I say that.
You said
Sure
that?
will. That's the only way we can get some things done.
Of course, our taxes
Have
are
Money to do it.
such a little bit of a tax. You're right.
Think about that.
So what do you think? Meeting's over?
Hmm?
Is the meeting over?
Any other questions? or anything? Okay, we'll close on the tax rates.